Welcome to the Afropinoy podcast.
So what's up, guys? Welcome back to another podcast. It's Chuki and it's
Azul.
Azul as usual. Okay. So yeah, in this video we're gonna be talking about power dynamics. Okay, and we're gonna be talking about it in the context of relationship. This is something I've always wanted to talk about because I feel like as time goes on, the culture is changing where there are more Filipinas that are willing to be with black dudes.
Wow.
You know, and
There's a lot of Malaysian kids.
a lot of
also.
Blasian kids also. So I feel like that's the whole point of my Afropinoy podcast is to talk about real issues that affect Filipinas
Filipino, yeah.
and Africans. Okay, because I'm Nigerian and she's Filipina, so I feel like I'm trying to be a bridge, okay, where these Blasian kids can come and feel welcome and connect and
Yeah.
relate to, this is true, I observed this, my dad was this and my mom was this, you know.
Yeah, I actually never noticed the amount or like the ratio of Africans in the Philippines until I like dated one, right? So I'm
Yeah.
like, I started seeing that, there's actually a lot of Africans in the Philippines.
A lot.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of babies being made. You know, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I'm trying to do this, or that's why I'm doing this, because these kids would need something to relate to
Yeah.
along the line. Okay, they can consume Filipino content, obviously, but some of them don't really have access to the African culture or know anyone who is talking
Yeah.
about what it feels like to be African, you know. So here goes the podcast addressing real issues.
Yeah.
Now, today's podcast, we're going to be talking about power dynamics, okay? This is a very important thing in relationship. Over the years, I've observed Filipino relationships, I've observed African Filipino relationships, and I've observed African relationships. And that's why I'm talking about power dynamics in this podcast. You know,
I feel
can you
like-
tell me more about the relationship dynamics you feel like operates in the Philippines?
I feel like it depends on the league though.
What do you mean?
There's this type of like league is like levels or status.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, but most of the time, it depends on who looks better, who has more market value.
Okay,
To be honest, though, yeah.
true.
So if the girl looks better, and the guy, let's say the guy can offer money, or like convenience,
Okay,
the guy is still more like
dominant.
not
or submissive?
dominant, submissive actually, and actually it's actually the girls though, because girls has like more options when it comes to like, okay, we can just break up and I'll just find a guy, but guys don't actually have that same ratio of like how girls can immediately just jump into another relationship
Okay.
just because they have pussy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like in the Philippines, it's more like the girls. But if the guy has more market value, if
Okay.
he looks better than the girl,
Okay. Or is richer.
he's richer and looks better.
Celebrity.
Yeah. That's when the girls are like very submissive. But if not, it's like the girls who are like very dominant though.
Yeah. I observed that. That's why I'm trying to have this conversation because in 9 years of being here, I saw a lot of relationships, especially when you commute. If you
Yeah.
commute a lot, you would see. I've seen a lot of men pick their girlfriends from work with short knicker and take the bag, clean the shoe, clean the sweat. She's the one who is working, and
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
probably just picking out
Picking,
from
yeah.
work. Some of them are gamers and all that stuff.
It's probably
So-
what he can offer.
Exactly. So it's not to shame people who do that, but it's just what I observed over the years. I feel like the power dynamics in Filipina relationship, I feel like the women are more really dominant and
Yeah.
powerful. I see in public a Filipina tells the guy, "Stop that! What are you doing?" And it's just gonna,
Yeah.
you know. I think it's not just Philippines though. I think Asia generally.
But how is it like in the African culture though?
It's clear. It's clear, right? You
Yeah.
can see it, right?
Yeah. I mean, but they don't know. You have
Yeah,
to tell
but
them.
In the African context of relationship, there's a lot of dominance that comes with being a man, okay? And it doesn't just play out in a relationship context. It plays out in the culture generally. the what's that called? It's called patriarchal system, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's very much dominant in Nigeria. The entertainment industry is dominated by men. The politics is dominated by men. You know, every industry is dominated by men. So also in the relationship context, men actually walk out of relationships. Like even if he doesn't have money, a man can tell you, "I'll break up with you," that kind of thing, because there's a lot of ego and it's a patriarchal system. So men feel very entitled
Yeah.
to a woman, like you're under me and you need me.
Yeah.
Like you need me. I don't really need you like that. Because I don't know, there's the school of thought that most guys believe that a man has more access to women because there are more women in the world than men. You know? So if you misbehave, I just replace you. And this has nothing to do with social class. The average man in Nigeria without money in his pocket feels like he's the shit.
I feel like since I met you and I see like how Africans view their purpose, so like I'm like, oh, this is like a man who actually wants to build something for himself. But in the Philippines, I think the will of man isn't that high that I have to prove something, I have to build something, I have to like make a legacy for myself or something like that, like build financial stability. Just like how you, just like how some men are like they're very comfortable of like marrying someone and still living in their parents' house, right? In
Ooh.
Asia, in the Philippines.
That's another conversation. Yeah, I mean that's a very broad conversation, but yeah, you can keep talking.
But that's what I'm saying. I feel like that's why African men are like very dominant, and Filipino men are just like they're just there though. It kind of depends on the girl on how they're gonna operate in a relationship. Either you're gonna be dominant or submissive.
Yeah.
So I feel like, I mean, I have other friends who also have African or African American boyfriends, and they all tell me the same main thing that attracts them to that person is the wisdom and how the person thinks and operates as like someone who actually want to build something for himself.
Based on my past experiences with Filipinas and all that, I observed that once they come in contact with me the first time, they try to want to operate the way they operate with the Filipino,
Yeah.
where they want to tell you, no, don't wear that color, that's not good. This is not how you wash the dishes. This is not how you do this.
That's really
This is
true.
not how you do this. They want to be like talking to me like that.
Yeah.
But when they experience that, oh, this dude actually has his stuff together,
Yeah.
some of them become comfortable and they're like, oh, finally I've met someone okay. While some feel very threatened by the fact that, oh my God, I'm not used to this. I'm used to telling the guy in my equation what to wear. I'm used to telling him how to behave in public. I'm used to telling him, Inga, shut up, just, you know. But when they meet someone who is almost like the one doing that to them, they like very like, what's going on here?
It's like a culture shock though between like a Filipina dating an African for the first time.
Yeah.
Like even with me, I mean I've dated like a couple of like Filipino men, right? All of them, so all of them are like all the time when I want to go out in public, I'm like I hope they don't wear something I don't like, or like I hope when we're meeting other people, right? I hope they behave well, because I feel like your partner is like a reflection of you, right? So
Yeah.
I'm like I hope they can carry themselves. I hope they, because not all of them have like I said before, like an individuality. Like they don't have their own path, or
Okay.
like they're not building anything specific for themselves. So I feel like I mean, anytime I call them, they're just like, "Oh, let's go." Like whatever I decide, they just say yes. But I feel like when I started dating like an African guy, there's a lot of like,
Guys, I reformatted a brain. Reformatted it. That's what it is.
there's a lot of context.
Okay.
And I feel like it's really nice that finally there's someone who I can talk to, and there's a different perspective, and you're not just like pleasing me and agreeing to whatever I say.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's a really plus when it comes to like foreigners, Africans.
there are exceptions to everything we're saying.
Yeah.
There are Filipinos who are very dominant and make sure they take care of the
Yeah.
woman, and they call the shot, basically. Like, there's that setup.
Yeah.
There are also Africans who are very submissive,
Yeah, submissive.
and once a woman breaks up with them, they start crying. Yeah, there are people like that. There are exceptions to all this, but
Yeah.
I'm saying this because it's just an observation. I'm saying my point of view as someone who has lived in Nigeria
Yeah.
for 21 years and lived in the Philippines for 9 years. I've seen the power
Difference,
dynamics in relationship setup. Why do you think things happen like this? Is it something that was influenced by the culture, the movies, the songs? Like,
Yeah, that's definitely though. Like I told you, right? It's like already in the culture, or it's just like a habit of Filipinos that, I mean, they can just get married, still live in their parents' house, and just depend on the parent, right? As long as the parents give like the blessing that okay, you can be married and then you can still live with us, right? So I feel like that's a big part of it, that Filipinos are just like chill, like okay, if I don't build this shit, or like I don't build something for myself in this time span, I'll be fine. Like my parents are still here, but when it comes to like foreigners and especially Africans, culture in other countries are like once you're 18, you have to move out. You have to have something to do after like when you're 18, right? So yeah, so it's very different when it comes to the Philippines. That's why I feel like Africans, foreigners have this very solid plan for themselves already in a very young age, like even like 16, 17 up, because they feel like, oh, by 18, I have to have something for myself. But in the Philippines, it's not that common to have that. I mean, there are some that really have that, they want to build something for themselves, but a lot are just like, okay, I'm just going to school after this, I'll find something. Well, but they don't have like an exact or like solid plan that, okay, I have to do this, I have to have something for myself. So it's something that a cycle that Filipinos follow already.
you know how movies and songs influence your growing up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I feel like, for example, in Africa, the kind of songs you grow up hearing are 30 million for your account. Like,
Yeah.
and if you mess up, I'm gonna kick you out and replace you immediately. So that's the kind of songs you hear growing up, where in the music itself, there's a lot of dominance being showed
Yeah.
by the men who are
I was
popular.
actually shocked about the lyrics when you told me like when you play African music, like, and I'm like, and then you're gonna tell me, you know what he says, so like you're gonna explain to me, and this is what it says. I'm like, this is like kind of like harsh
Yeah.
to say it to like a girl, but it's actually, it makes sense that you're saying that, right? That it actually influenced how like men
Yeah.
think.
So that's why in Africa, to be honest, every song is talking about money and talking about having a lot of women. And of course, everyone knows women love money.
Yeah.
So the average young
Of
man,
course.
the average young man in Africa is trying to make money so he can access so many women.
Yeah.
And in the music, you can see it. You could see the kind of girls shaking their butts in the video, and it's like that's the sign of success, you know. And that's the music. In the movie itself, most of the storylines don't really make the man look like he's in need of a woman badly, that kind of thing.
But in the Philippines, you know how movies are.
What?
Movies are like, so let's say the guy is, it's always it's either the guy or the girl is poor and the other one is rich, and they're gonna be like, oh, even if you're poor, I'm gonna accept you.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, even if you're poor, even like everyone's like, oh, don't date him, like it's not in your social class. Everyone's gonna be like, no, love is more powerful than money and status. I'm like, okay. That's why when there's actually a meme, it's actually a meme
Yeah.
that every storyline in the Philippine film is like somebody's poor, somebody's rich, and it doesn't matter. Like they're still gonna, love is stronger, always stronger. And even like in the songs, right? It's always men are like mourning like a relationship that ended, and they're gonna be like, they're going crazy that it's breaking them so much. They're almost like killing them.
You're talking to someone who came
Yeah.
to the Philippines because he watched Filipino teleseries. Okay, I came to this country. after watching Jericho Gonzalez, Ding Dong Dantes, all these people, Mariam Rivera, Angel Luxon, Yola Valdez,
Yeah.
Maha Salvador, I watched all these people. I already knew that back then in Nigeria, we were like, oh, why is this guy crying and kicking the tire? That kind of thing. And
yeah.
there's usually a scene where the guy will be so sad, he goes to the river and shouts, "Ah!" That kind of thing.
Yeah, it's
So,
like they're losing their mind just because they
Yeah.
broke up, right?
so I feel like that will shape people's perspective of
Yeah.
what love is, because like I told you, I feel like what religion is to Nigerians is what love is to Filipinos.
Okay.
Okay, Nigerians don't joke with religion. You talk to a Nigerian and he's deep. There's no Nigerian you talk to that is not deep spiritually.
Okay.
Most times the spirituality doesn't transcend into finance or,
Yeah.
or success in anything. But Nigerians are just deep and they can say a lot of things. They're so connected to the spiritual. But I feel like coming to the Philippines in 9 years, I feel like Filipinos are very, very love. Down to even all the churches I've served in. There's allowance for boyfriend and girlfriend.
Huh?
Yeah, in churches I've played in the Philippines,
Oh, really?
a,
Sorry.
a, a Christian
I don't go
Filipino
to church.
a Christian Filipino family can know that, oh, this is my son's girlfriend and this is my
That's so true, though. Yeah, that's true.
there's allowance for love
Yeah.
in the Philippine
In the Philippines,
Christianity.
like let's say you're in high school and
Yeah.
then the parents are aware that you're dating somebody,
Yeah.
especially like you're a guy. So since you're from the family,
Yeah.
you have to be like someone who can pay for stuff, right? So the parents are gonna give pocket money for the guy so the guy can take the
Exactly.
girl out. I'm
So
like,
it's part of the culture. Love
Yeah.
is very important. Like the intense love, that love that it's like no, May forever, Indi Walang forever.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
there's forever. This is
Yeah.
my love. Even all my times in Adamson, all my times in schooling here, you see people hold on to love, classmates.
Yeah, that's
Even
true.
if the relationship is not working, they are fighting for it. This is the love of my life. I'm
Yeah.
going to date you through school and marry you. There's that energy that comes with love here, and that same energy is what people put into religion in Nigeria. So that's one of the major things I observed between Philippines and Nigeria, where love is a huge thing here. Like, I mean, romantic love.
Yeah.
The Romeo and Juliet, the intense love is more dominant here. In Nigeria, the love there is just very plastic. Okay,
Really?
it's very material.
It was actually when I was still in high school. Of course, I have high school crushes, right? So I feel like when they actually buy me stuff,
Yeah,
and even if I know that it was from the parents, I'm just like, oh, the parents like me. But when I actually stopped dating anyone from my school, I just stopped it, and I started to meet different
ethnicity.
ethnicities. I'm like, oh, it's actually kind of weird that Filipinos are like, they feel like it's normal that parents will give the money so I can date this girl. I'm like, when I think about it right now, I'm like, isn't that kind of like a weak type of man? It's like you're being a pussy just because you're. I mean, it's like the girl is dating the parents instead of like dating the guy.
Yeah. But yeah, to be honest, modern day women, they don't really care if the money is coming from your parents. They just want to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Eat the good food, get the good clothes, and all that. Modern women don't really care how the money is making. I was saying it earlier, right?
Yeah.
In summary, I know that every culture is unique.
But how is it in Nigeria though? Like in African culture, is it ever a thing that parents would give pocket money?
Hell no.
That's crazy. I actually thought it was like a common thing as long as
Wait,
you don't have a
give
stable
pocket
job.
money for what?
To
Like
date a
if
girl,
you're if
right?
you're in college,
Yeah.
pocket money for you to feed in college, or pocket money to go out with a girl. Did they,
To go out with a girl.
hell no.
How about like
You don't even the average Nigerian doesn't even have the courage to tell his parent that I have a girlfriend. In Nigeria, there are two kinds of relationship: courtship and marriage. The courtship is where the parents from this family actually meet the parents from the other family, and our son wants to marry your daughter. And after that, it's marriage. There's no space
how
for
about
boyfriend.
like
or-
using your parents' card to date a girl? Not
Um,
even date to impress a girl.
It depends on your social class. Okay.
Knowing all the difference between like an African man and a Filipino and a Filipina, it's just I feel like an African and a Filipina relationship is a very balanced relationship because I feel like Filipinos are not very used to like since I told you like men are not very that dominant and dominant here.
Most men, yeah.
Most men. I feel like Filipinas being able to be with an African man is like, oh, so we can be in like our soft version, in the very feminine version, and be like submissive. And an African man is like very dominant, and they can actually serve like the purpose of like a man in a relationship. That's why I feel like our relationship is very balanced,
Yeah.
and it's actually my first time that I can actually just like kind of depend on you. So it's like very, it's actually one of the most relaxed relationships I've been in compared to like dating Filipinos, and I'm like always thinking about, oh, I have to lead the relationship.
Yeah.
But once I like started dating an African, I'm like, oh, I can just like sit here and just like
She's marketing Africans to you guys.
not really. I
Yeah.
can just like sit here and like do it. So I feel like both the culture has something to offer. Like you are very like Africans are very masculine, and like Filipinas can offer like TLC, like you said, right?
Soft.
Yeah, soft like
But it's a soft so warm.
TLC means
Tender loving care.
tender loving care. Yeah, so I feel like that's what Filipino can offer, like softness, care, and
Yeah, but that's your perspective.
That's
Because
my
they're Filipinos who don't like it. They hate the fact that they cannot be the person calling the shots.
because of the
Some,
culture again.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Based on past experiences, some feel intimidated. Like, so what do I do in this relationship? Like,
Yeah.
because they are used to doing the
Yeah,
pick
everything.
clothes for you, tell you what to wear, tell you how to wash the dishes, tell you how to do laundries. You can't even do your laundry. They used to these rants. When they meet a man who knows all these things, sometimes they feel like there's nothing they can do in the relationship.
Yeah.
You know, so not everyone not every female likes it. But by the way, guys, if you've dated a foreigner before, if you know someone who is
Yeah.
in an interracial relationship, you can share your comments also. We want to know what you think about interracial relationships. You know, obviously it's getting more popular and popular as the black culture keeps becoming huge.
Yeah.
As the entertainment industry becomes more saturated with blacks, female, male, people are becoming more open-minded to want to be with black people, you
Yeah.
know, and it's becoming very popular. Most girls now have black crushes or black superheroes, that kind of thing. So it's becoming very rampant right now. So if you are in an interracial relationship, let me know what the power dynamics is like in your relationship. You know, of course, you might not want to share. So I mean, what can you say about what we're talking about? Like, is it
Comment it down below.
is it legit? Is it something that you experience, you know, also in the country? Because I'm speaking based on my experiences. I'm just talking about the differences, you know, and how it shapes culture. Because the biggest influencers in the Philippines are females, right? The biggest actors in the Philippines are females also. The biggest songs only become viral because there was a viral girl in the video, you know, and it has a way of shaping how people perceive relationships, you know. So, oh, okay, so I need to worship, you know. I might not say this all, but what I'm saying is, you can also share your opinion about this topic, you know. What can you say about the power dynamics in relationships between foreigners and Filipinas? If you have a friend, your neighbor who is dating a Filipina and is a foreigner, what can you say about their relationship? Is it toxic? Are they always fighting? Is there always like a debate on who's in control? You know, let us know. What do you have to say though?
Yeah.
Before we finish, because we are almost out of time.
Yeah, but I feel like every culture, every ethnicity has their differences, and I feel like that's where
The uniqueness.
the uniqueness is. And when these people communicate or like try to know each other, that's where they learn like the differences, and they kind of like pick the good parts of it and try to apply it to themselves. So I
Yeah.
feel like able to put yourself out there and meeting different ethnicities are very beneficial when it comes to like knowing the differences and how each other can pick lessons or like different perspectives from each other, and it actually helps mold your personality and your perspective as a person, right? So yeah, that's basically it.